Here to tell us a little bit more about that is one Dr. Simon McCallum. Hello.
Hello. Right. Can you? Hopefully you can switch me over, and people can see me in the bottom corner here, reaching out into my slides.
Hold on a minute. I haven't pinned you yet.
You haven't pinned me. And people at the other side, if you double click on me, you should be able to pin me. I think.
That's better.
Yep. Okay. Yep. So as a lecturer, I find it easier to be in the slides rather than merely kind of a voice on the side. So I prefer this style of presentation. So a little bit of background. I got my PhD in AI from Otago University. So I started that in '96. So I've been doing this stuff for nearly 30 years. Actually did a lot of work in commercial game development. So I did commercial game development, and then I've taught game development for about 20 years. And I've done a lot of curriculum development. And one of the neat things about the game development space is that everything was changing every year. And so I got very used to this idea that I had to develop things that were able to change at the pace that the industry was changing. Right. And so moving away from being certain about what you're doing all the time to building the frameworks, building the supportive structures that allow people to move and drive forward. And so it's not setting goalposts. It's not saying, oh, you will do this and you will do this and you will do this. It's saying, okay, right. What tools do we have? Where are you wanting to get to? And how do I help you get there? Because when every year the game engines will change, or every year there's a new hot topic coming through. So this constant revival. I've also been doing a bunch of policy work, and I have a sole trader, which Ludogogy, where I do some game education stuff, and I've been doing AI consulting work. And in that work, a lot of the challenge, and we're seeing this in the reporting around, AI not having the impact it's supposed to have had, is about the education. It is that people don't understand what they're doing, right? And if you multiply a lack of knowledge, you get 10 times dumb rather than 1 times dumb, right? And so we need to better understand what's going on and learn how to use these tools. And so as an educator, I wind back and look at, what's the purpose of learning? And actually, it's about changing what's in our heads, right? It's not just about sort of having an output, but that skill and knowledge development and having time and effort and the cognitive reward of succeeding at difficult things. Right? Partly why I loved development was this idea, was the challenge of, debugging was so emotionally frustrating, and then success is so rewarding that I got that dopamine up. I got that joy and that pain, and I learned. Now, one of the things we have to be careful of with the use of AI and the use of agents is that we don't lose that joy. And I think one of the nice things about sort of the Agentic Foundation and this idea of you aren't just trying to get to a single endpoint. You are actually pushing to achieve a lot of things. And when something becomes easier, you keep moving. You move your goalposts. You achieve more rather than just saying, "Oh, yep, no, I'm done. I'll sit back and I'll just stop now." All right. So it's about embracing and engaging that movement forward. So from an educational theory, this is in the zone of proximal development. So there's a lot of learning theory that goes into how we develop as people and how we build our skill set. And there's this idea of a zone of proximal development, which is the area around what you can do and moving into what you can do with assistance. And so the agents are providing that assistance. But also you need mentors and tutors and colleagues, and it can be YouTubes or textbooks. And one of the things that is important about humans is that for many of us, not all of us, but for most of us, we need to have that emotional connection. We need to have someone that cares about what we're doing, and potentially someone to hold us to account for what we said we were going to do. right? And so as building that mentorship relationship is both indicating that you care that this person is developing their skills. And when they say, I will get this done by Friday, you're there on Friday saying, hey, did you get it done? Right? Because the internet doesn't care and the AIs don't care, but your mentor does. And so that's where we have that connection of the tools accelerate us and it's the humans that connect us, right? So one of the challenges in understanding what we need to learn and what we need to create in this education pathway is we don't know what the foundational knowledge is anymore, right? So there's this whole new space that we're moving into. How do we build appropriate mental models? So one of the challenges is like when I was doing debugging, right? What would happen, and I'll scratch, what would happen is as I coded, I would change my mental model, right? I would change some code, I'd align my understanding, I'd change some code, I'd align it. And so there was this constant flow of I developed the mental model of what was happening in my code. But what's happened is there used to be a relationship between time and effort and the quality of code. But now that's breaking down. It actually matters more about the kind of task you're doing than it is your capability, right? Because you're not having to do every little bit. The agents will find some things easy and some things hard. And we're no longer the only way of measuring that. It's not our own effort that is driving that. It is actually our connection to the problem, our understanding, and that deep, wide, and broad understanding of the problem that we bring as context to help shape the music, the created output of the AI. So we're trying to work out, most AI researchers and my goodness, academia, most AI experts and researchers are like mechanics. They build systems, and now we've built these amazing systems and these amazing fighter jet kind of high quality swarms of AI agents. But we need fighter pilots. We need people who can drive them. And in fact, getting your engineer, right, your car mechanic to teach you to drive isn't the best way to learn to drive. So we need people who understand those broader implications of this technology and those tools, and are using those tools. And so we are trying to work out what do the flight school look like, right? Which is very different to mechanical engineering and mechanics school, where we're teaching you to build to grind pistons and things. It is now, how do we learn to do this? How do we build these curriculums? How do we build these mentorship development? And one of the things that I think is going to become more and more critical as we move forward is that industrial education has been about creating widgets that fit in companies. Now the AIs are those widgets. And we have to become unique individuals with unique sets of skills. A lot of employment is now done by AIs doing matchmaking between an employee and an employer. And it's a broad range of things they're looking for, not just the, are you this widget? And so actually in that mentorship process, in this development of skills, it's not about trying to become uniform. It is about actually differentiating yourself and broadening that skill set and bringing together things that will become the most important aspects of being a guild member. And being in the guild is actually not trying to be the same as everyone else, actually bringing something unique and new. And as part of that, and why I talk about going from craft to engineering, is that I've been looking at vibe coding and at prompt engineering and prompt craft, and even potentially prompt poetry. But there's this idea of we are currently agentic crafters, right? And so that's why the guild is the kind of right structure, is because we are craftspeople. Engineering is what craft becomes when we unify it and we test it and we build that consistent ability to say, yes, this is a process that will work for you. So you're no longer just learning a craft, you're understanding the engineering of a solution. And so what we are looking at doing is, initially we need to start up these apprenticeships and bring experts with novices and look at how that relationship develops, and then extract the value from those relationship building and go, oh, okay, so this is working across multiple mentors. This is what the pathway looks like from going from not knowing things to being productive, right? And then we're agreeing on what those learning pathways look like from having this experience of mentoring people. And then we can build curriculums, and we can based on experiences rather than just the tradition of what mechanics have always been doing. So these are actually a kind of interesting variant on apprenticeship. So traditionally, apprenticeships have been kind of on site. You come and kneel at the knee of the master and you watch what they do. This is more independent than that, right? It is more, you come, you share, you get that supervision, you agree on goals. And this is a model I've been using, which is called assessment by consent. We are not assessing you based on what we think you needed to learn, but we agree on what is your goal, right? And you commit to learning something, because we can no longer, in education, use this idea of, I got an end goal, so long as you get through that end goal, I'll give you a tick and you've achieved. It's kind of, no. Well, any goal I set, you could probably get an AI to get there. So what I want to do is I want to work with you to develop your skills on the things you are passionate about. And then once we agree that, we then look at the journey and the pathway and your commitment and your contribution and your development, right? And so that becomes this independent exploration. And that's where we start looking for how we agree on those goals and set up AI to help develop. We also have an interesting challenge of teaching people what to forget, because the world is now changing so quickly. Some of the things we have to teach people to do is to not become too attached to the current ways things are done, because that the challenge of change in a very unstable world is working out what you put in your backpack. We can't build cognitive parcels anymore. I can't build a massive building because with all of the knowledge and build these sort of, arcane, beautiful structures of knowledge, because AI is just washing it away all the time. So what do I put in my backpack as a survivalist when the earth is shaking all the time? What are your minimum set of skills? What are those transferable skills when the world changes that you take with you into those new scenarios, into that new situation? So I was going to finish with questions because I didn't want to take all the time. What are the pathways from novice to productive agentic engineer? Right? This is a question that we need to answer as a community. How do we accredit mentors and how do we accredit curriculum? Because if you are members, is there, what's the process of becoming an accredited mentor where you can take on apprenticeships and you are feeding back to the community, and that we trust that you're not going to just use them for slavery? What is the amount of theory needed for high quality agentic engineering, right? What is the theory practical balance? Do we have theory currently, or is our theory moving so quickly that there's no point in doing theory stuff because we can't build the theory fast enough? What is the best analogy to use in the general population to help them understand what we're doing? Because one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have that policy, as Reuven pointed out, that policy impact and government impact, and we're going to have to explain it to normies. What is it that we're doing and why it matters? And the last one in New Zealand is to accredit with NZQA or not. It takes time. I don't know if you can set things up fast enough, get it accredited, and have it still useful. Yeah. Right? Because existing systems require so many layers and are so slow and require so much work. Is this something we think we should do or not?